All right, Realty Pros, as we said, today is the finalization and recap of our series, our Million Dollar Agent Mindset. And hopefully, you guys have had the opportunity to chime in and just pull all of the nuggets out of the first three parts in this series. Today, we're going to bring it home. We're going to talk about some of the things that we've discussed then, but the goal is for us to more than leave motivated because this is about a movement. This is not a training just about real estate. This is a training about who you are becoming. Somebody type in that chat, becoming. Because the truth is, you do not get paid for what you know. You get paid for how you think and how you move and how you execute. And if your mindset doesn't change, neither will your income. So let's keep going. As we said today, we're closing out the Million Dollar Mindset series with one objective. That objective is for everybody to walk away with clarity because confusion kills production. So clarity is going to create the income that you need. And we've been talking about mindset. We've talked about relationships. We've talked about strategy, but today we're going to put it all together for you guys because million dollar agents don't operate in pieces. We operate in alignment. You operate in alignment. So you want to think like a CEO, right? They build like architects and execute like machines. So, the first part of our training, I just want to make sure that we are thinking like a million dollar agent because the core truth here is before you ever earn $1 million, you must think like somebody who deserves $1 million, right? You've got to think like it. And some of those core truths are identity creates income. Somebody type in that chat identity. That's where it's going to come from. It's going to come out of who you are, right? So we talked about becoming, and that's going to be essential for every last Realty Pro that's on the line today, right? And then next, as you see it on your screen, discipline. Somebody type in that chat, discipline, because discipline is going to beat motivation every day of the week. It is your discipline, what you're willing to commit to on a daily basis. Mr. and Mrs. Porter can come on here and pour into you guys all of the secrets of million dollar agent mindset. We can pour into you guys all of the strategy that has taken tens and tens of thousands of dollars and many years and thousands of transactions for us to learn and bring together to you in one single segment or training after the next. But the truth of the matter is, none of those things will move the needle unless you choose to have the discipline. So, discipline is what's going to beat motivation every single day. And we've talked about ownership. We talked about ownership over the last few weeks. And it's this extreme ownership of our market, the extreme ownership of our lead generation, the extreme ownership of taking advantage of opportunities and making sure that you get the training that you need and everything that the brokerage is doing, that you're aligning to make sure that you are nurturing yourself to become the confident real estate professional who thinks like somebody who deserves to be $1 million agent. That ownership, that's where you're going to eliminate the excuses, right? Because you've heard us say before, and we absolutely believe in this, that no matter what the real estate market is, it is not the market that's going to potential, it is the marketing. So that's one of the key factors where we say eliminate the excuses, because if you do everything that you are able to do, everything that you are learning to do under the Porterhouse umbrella, you will absolutely be successful as a Realty Pro. All right. And then one of the things that we've talked about, I can't just reiterate this enough, it's the relational aspect of what we do. Because obviously we're helping buyers and sellers to transact in real estate, but this is really a people business. This is about relationships. And the relationships are going to outperform transactions every single day of the week. So we want to make sure that we are growing those relationships. We're nurturing those relationships. We're going deeper into those relationships because that is where your success in this industry is going to come from. And we've gone through a number of things that show you exactly what to do and how to maximize that, right? So in this transformational shift, you're going to start thinking identity before income. Somebody type in that chat, identity before income. And you want to stop asking, what do I need to do? And start asking, who do I need to become? Because there's some times when maybe you're sitting down, maybe you're watching TV, or maybe you're listening to a podcast, or maybe you're en route, you're driving somewhere, maybe to see a loved one, or maybe to another obligation. And there are times in those moments where you could be utilizing that time to continue to grow. And the specific areas that you want to grow in are those areas where you ask yourself, who do I want to become in this area of mindset? Knowing that there has to be a transformational shift, getting you to the point where you become the person that knows that you are deserving of the $1 million agent status. One of the things that we were doing this past week, and it's something that we'll share with you guys, and at a later date we're going to have some exciting things surrounding it. But in looking back over my time as a real estate professional, even before a broker, I broke a record for myself in terms of sales, and I've reached $54 million in real estate sales. And that's outside of being a broker, right? And there's some things that I want to help teach and train and pour into you guys to help transform every last Realty Pro so as to have that exact same mindset, to know what it looks like to grow your real estate business into the point where you are earning, as much as you would like. Obviously, our goal is for our Realty Pros to be at least six figures, but that's just starting. Our goal is for you guys to be $1 million agents and have that $1 million mindset, right? You don't attract what you want in this business or even in life in and of itself. You attract who you are. So the things that I'm sharing with you and that Porterhouse is making available to all of our Realty Pros, these are things that are tried and true. These are things that are tested. These are things that have stood the test of time and markets and administrations and changes and turns and all of these things. If you grab hold of these things that you are learning at Porterhouse, you will be successful in your endeavors. All right. So in this area of extreme ownership, we're not making excuses, right? It's not the market, it's not the rate, it's not the condition. None of those things determine your success more than your own habits. Somebody type in that chat, my habits. Because remember, this is a movement. This is beyond just a training. This is beyond just being motivated. This is something that my hope is to impart into every last Porterhouse Realty Pro so that we will move together as a unit in this space with this $1 million agent mindset. Because this is how we see every last Porterhouse Realty Pro, right? So no matter what the market is, the interest rates, what's going on in the current climate, winners are going to adjust and adapt to the market and make those needed changes and just continue to move forward, right? And a loser mindset is not one that any of our Realty Pros have, right? But a loser mindset is one that's just going to explain and make excuses and all of those things. And that is not who we are as Porterhouse Realty Pros. So I encourage every Realty Pro to level up to have CEO thinking, because an average agent is just going to chase a check. Whereas as Porterhouse Realty Pros, we want you guys to build the systems that we're talking about. Because if you don't build a machine, you become the machine. And we talked about building your real estate business to the point where it prints money for you, right? So, one of the extreme aspects that we talked about, and I cannot reiterate this enough, it is the relational wealth. The relational wealth. Somebody type in that chat relational wealth. One relationship can outperform 100 cold leads. I'm going to say that again because I want us to be aware there are a lot of things that we do to buy leads, to generate leads, and one relationship can outperform 100 cold leads. So let's make a commitment to stop chasing deals and start building influence in the relationships that we have. Somebody type in that chat influence. This is all about our relationships, guys. This area of extreme ownership. It is so essential to make sure that you are becoming everything that is on the inside of you to become. Let's keep going. At this moment, I want to ask you guys a question, and I want you to think about this. We've talked about this before on our $1,000,000 agent mindset training, and I've implored every single person to take this information, make it actionable, and actually perform, right? So, my question to every last one of you is who are your top 5 relationships right now that could change your business? And I'll ask that again for you. It's who are your top 5 relationships that could change your business? I'm pausing on purpose. I want you to think about that. Write it down. If you can type it in the chat, type it in the chat. If you put it in your notebook, put it in your notebook. But I want you to have some actionable takeaway, right? So we're going to continue. Well, first of all, before I continue, I want to find out if there's any brave Realty Pro on the line. If you're willing to come off of mute, if you've thought about who those top 5 relationships are and you're willing to share, let me go back to that slide. I'm moving too far ahead. If you are willing to share with the group, then I want you to come off mute and tell us who those relationships are.
I can go.
Go ahead, sir.
Honestly say that the top 5 people are 5 investors that are multimillionaires, people who, I went to learn how multimillionaires think, but also have developed relationships whereby they are willing to invest in almost any endeavor that I want to do in real estate. So those 5 people are key. They're all business owners in different areas, and we support one another.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you so much, Mr. Porter. Anybody else? All right, don't get left behind. I'm going to continue. If you want to jump in on that part, you can. Otherwise, we're going to keep building. All right. So, next, building like $1,000,000 agent. And this is one of the things that I cannot reiterate enough because this is the Porterhouse accounts based selling model. This is something I want to encourage every last Realty Pro to take to heart and make sure that you are doing this, right? We talked about your 25 key accounts. Who are those key accounts? The 5 that you've already identified, my hope is that you've thought about it. Maybe you've written them down. Maybe you've typed them into the notes section of your phone, or however it is that you record those. I want to make sure that you're intentional in doing them. Because those first 5, guess what? They're the first 5 of your 25 key accounts. And I want you guys to continue to grow that and be diligent this year to plug people into every last space until you have 25. Somebody type in that chat 25. I'm going to say this as many times as need be because I want you guys to start thinking beyond, let me just talk to a buyer, let me talk to a seller, let me generate one lead. I want you to start thinking in terms of financial professionals. I want your first thought to be, who are the attorneys that are within my sphere of influence? I want you to think in terms of who are the community leaders in my office park. I want you to think in terms of who are the HR and corporate contacts that I have, maybe because I'm dual career, maybe from a former occupation, or maybe that's connected to somebody that I'm also connected to, right? You're going to think, who are the investors? Because many of us have investor partners who are yours. Think about those things. And I want you to think about this now for a moment. So I'm going to pause because I want you to be mindful of who these people are. And I want you, if you have not completed your list of 25, I want you to take a quick moment and write some more people on that list. Who are those people for you? What people are you going to go after? Let's be actionable with what we're doing. All right, next, we're moving on because this is a transformational shift. Our goal is that this is a movement for all Porterhouse Realty pros, everybody who is under the Porterhouse umbrella. We want this to be commonplace in our brand so that whenever somebody sees Aurelia Douglas, a Porterhouse Realty pro, they already know what the standard is. They already know, oh, well, that's the girl from the brokerage that is always, teaching on the $1 million agent mindset. They already know that you come with a standard of excellence and you have a CEO-like framework of your business. And your business is going to be that one that's going to carry you not only through this season, but into a long-term career where you have legacy and impact in your real estate. Let's keep going. Because in order to get there, you're going to have to stop asking for referrals and start building partnerships. So while asking for referrals is good for the people in your sphere of influence, when we're talking about these key accounts, the conversation is going to be different. When we're talking about the key accounts with a financial professional, that conversation is going to look like, how can we grow together? Right? That's where you're going. So let's be intentional to have those conversations where you can ask them, how can I add value to your world? That's what you're going to ask to those attorneys. What are your goals for this year? And how can I add value to your world so that we can see exactly where our goals align and we can both grow together? That is what that conversation looks like from the transformational shift of going to maybe a financial professional and saying, hey, give me your referrals. Can you please give me your referrals? In one mindset, you're going and you're asking for a handout, but in another mindset, you're becoming a strategic partner. Somebody type in that chat, strategic partner. And that is where the value lies. That is where you're seen as somebody who's helping to build the business of those 25 key accounts. And in return, they're happy to reciprocate the business that you're going to need because you're helping to come alongside and strengthen. And listen, where your goals align, that's where the money is going to be made, right? So let's keep going. With these 25 key accounts, we've already said it, and we're just going to revisit this. This is a 5-point nurture system. Somebody type in that chat 5-point. Because this is more than just a phone call. Today is what, March the 26th, a phone call on one time, March 26th. And I'm hoping that the referrals are going to come in for the next few years based off of that phone call. This is much more than that. If it's not intentional, then it's accidental. Right? And we want for everything that we do under the Porterhouse brand to be intentional. So for those 25 key accounts, I want you to have those quarterly face-to-face meetings. So 4 times a year, maybe you're going out for coffee. Maybe you're going out for breakfast. Maybe you're going to their office and taking them some fruit. Or maybe you're taking them some cookies, or, maybe you're doing a pop by or whatever that looks like. I want you to be intentional to have a quarterly face to face with each person that is in your key accounts. And then once a month, you're going to touch them once a month. Whether that's a telephone call, a text message, whatever that looks like, you know that we have multiple platforms so that you can market on, so that you're able to send out information to be top of mind for everybody in your sphere of influence. But I want you to be intentional to make sure that you are touching them. Because remember, we're talking about relationships, and you want to make sure that you're establishing that depth. So when they think about alignment in terms of their real estate needs and how to help benefit their clients, also, they think about Ronald Singleton. You want them to think about that. You want them to say, you know what? I just had a call with Denise last week. Let me give her a call. You want them to be intentional, right? So, in addition to that, we said co marketing. There are various opportunities for co marketing, especially in real estate. There are things that we can do whereby you may be able to join with something that they're doing, even if it's for, say, by chance, one of our after we sell the property and we're doing their housewarming party, we can do a co-marketing endeavor where maybe whatever, our partner has this type of service and we're marketing for something different and they're given the opportunity to co-market with us. But there are various ways to do that. Come to me. Let's talk about it. Let's strategize so that we can make sure that we help you guys to reach the level of success that you need. Then, in addition to that, that 5-point nurturing system, only two more is the public appreciation. You've got to show people publicly that you appreciate them. You need to be naming their name, saying, hey, this person is doing a great job. It's one good thing to have a relationship that works well behind closed doors, but it's something different when you're showing that level of honor in front of other people because it shows them this person really values my relationship, right? Anitha really values that relationship. That is what that looks like when you have that public appreciation, because now it looks like more than just a surface level nurturing, if you will. Then let's keep going. Because now, after you've done all of that, you need to track your referrals. Because if you say, okay, well, this is what my goal was, and let me take a look at where all of my business has come from and whether the leads that I've received, who has sent me leads? Wait a minute. When I look back and I see, okay, well, I have these people and this group of people right here, they have sent me lead after lead after lead, then you can really see the true benefit of that relationship that you have established with that person. So that when you have additional time, you spend that time nurturing those relationships. Because some of the relationships are going to be more fruitful, and some of them they're going to be more long term, so that you're building those relationships and they will start to produce over time. But you won't know any of those things unless you're intentional to track those referrals that are coming in. Track where your closings came from. Track where those leads are coming from. Track who's mentioning you. Track who has your name in their mouth, so that when people think about real estate, they're thinking about you. Let's keep going, right? We already said, wait a minute. Let me keep going in my notes. There you go. Because it's depth that's going to build the wealth that you need. If you're just working on width and you're trying to add maybe 2,500, key accounts, that is going to build exhaustion. But if you work on the depth in those relationships, that's where the wealth is going to come from. When you build the relationship with those people, and now, like we said, if those 25 people send you only 2 clients per year, that is 50 closed transactions for every last Realty Pro. And we're simply talking about a 5-point nurture system. So here's where I ask you guys a question. How many true strategic relationships do you have right now? And I want you to think about it. How many? How many, Ronald? How many, Aurelia? How many, Anitha? How many, Donisha? How many, everybody else that's on the line? Gina and Faith and Denise and everybody else. If I don't call your name, put your name in there. How many true strategic relationships do you have? because that number is tied directly to your income. All right. Is there anybody that wants to jump in there and be courageous and answer that? If not, we're going to continue. Let's keep going. There are a number of things that we discussed in our 25 key accounts, as well as our multi-million dollar time or multi-million dollar agent mindset. But one of the most important things that we discussed is this area of time blocking. Somebody type in that chat, time blocking. And it's very intentional that we do this. We've identified the time slot from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Those are your golden hours for all of us that are full time. If you are a dual career, you've got to identify what those golden hours are, because that is the time that's got to be, you got to make that time sacred. Nobody can touch that time because that is where the money is made. And for everybody who is a full, time real estate professional, your money is made before noon. That's where you're building. That's where you're generating your leads. That's where this is the only thing that's going to take precedence during that period of time. And the way that you regard your schedule is such that during that window of time from 9 to 11, you've got to say this. If it doesn't produce income, it does not belong in your prime hours. Somebody type in that chat, income producing only. If it does not produce income, and that is very intentional, and you got to make sure that you are guarding that, because there are going to be so many things that will try to pull your attention during that time. And those things can also be good things to do. Some of them will be important things, but priority is key. Somebody type in that chat, priority is key, right? With that being said, you have got to guard that time, right? So a key is the discipline advantage, because the top producers, they don't feel like doing it. You might not feel like doing it. We may not feel like doing it, but you do it, and you do it anyway. And that's intentional, because you might wake up one day and you say, oh Lord, this is a slow day, or I had a long evening, or maybe I had the kids, the grands, or maybe something was going on. I don't really feel like committing to this 9 to 11 lead generation that Mrs. Porter is talking about. But remember, your feelings don't produce what you want for your future. It's your action. It's your discipline. It's your consistency. So even when you don't feel like it, do it anyway. Somebody type in that chat, do it anyway. Right? Because when you do that, what happens is a compound effect. And this is very important for every last one of us to know, that compound effect we talked about. Just to reiterate it briefly, that's 10 conversations a day. And we've broken down the numbers, that 10 conversations a day. We already know that. That's 50 conversations per week, right? That's going to be 200 conversations per month. That's going to be 2,400, actually 2,800 conversations per year. That's 120 opportunities every last year. That's only 10 conversations per day. And I had a great conversation with Aurelia the other day, and she said, you know what? Getting through the 10 people, it was either 10 or 13 people that you called Aurelia. You can correct me in that area. Nevertheless, she said it took about 45 minutes to an hour in order for me to make those contacts. And that is the aha moment that I want for every last Realty Pro to have, because doing this commitment is something that can be done in just the time that it takes you to drive from one location to the next, or the time that you take when you get up and the first thing that you're going to be focused on is this. But the bottom line is that this is very doable. And it's the consistency that is going to turn just an average agent into elite earners. Somebody type in that chat, consistency equals results. So today, I want to make sure that you're hearing me clearly because this is a finalization of our 4 weeks of $1 million agent mindset. This is the first series. There's a whole lot more to that, but we're going to pause this series here because I promise there's some exciting things that we're going to share afterwards. But I want to close out this segment and then I'm going to open the floor up because I want to hear from you. The goal is not to just provide you with information, right? I need you to hear me clearly. There is nothing special about $1 million agent. They just made a decision. We just made a decision. And that is a decision to think differently. Somebody say, think differently. A decision to move differently. A decision to stop negotiating with your potential. And the moment that you do, guess what? Everything changes. So right now, we're not leaving this as just motivation. We're leaving this as a movement. Somebody type in that chat, hashtag movement. So write this down. If you have not already, I want you to write it down now. I want you to be intentional. Identify your 25 accounts. Schedule 5 meetings with the people in your 25 accounts in the next 7 days, right? Commit to 2 hours of daily lead generation. 4 is going to be track your conversations beginning today. Somebody type in that chat, begin today. And then decide your income goal and reverse engineer it. So we've already been through the making it easy, breaking down the numbers. We already have all of those details right in your agent, your blueprint or your action plan, your business plan for the year. Those numbers are there. You can pull from them. You can recreate it, but you have everything you need in terms of the equation that you need in order to reverse engineer your income goals there. So I'm going to leave you with this final thought before I open up the floor to you guys. You are not waiting on the market. You are not waiting on leads. You are not waiting on opportunity. Guess what, Realty Pros? Opportunity is waiting on you. It's waiting on you to show up differently. So the only question left for every last Realty Pro under the sound of my voice today is, will you think like $1 million agent? Will you build like one? Will you execute like one? Or will you go back to what has been comfortable? Time out for excuses. It's now time for movement. Because at Porterhouse, we don't just sell homes, we are building wealth. We are creating legacy and we produce at a level that reflects it because every last Realty Pro under the sound of my voice, you deserve the best. So be the best version of you for you. And it's with that that I turn it over to you guys. If there's anybody that has any final thoughts, if you have any key takeaways, the floor is yours. But I want to hear from at least 3 people. If more want to speak, that's fine. But I'm going to take the last few minutes of our training and we're going to talk about what this evening is going to look like and some exciting things that we have coming down the pipeline for the rest of the year. But before we do that, this is your moment. I'm calling you to the carpet. Every last Realty Pro, Aurelia, Ronald, Donisha, Denise, Gina, Faith, everybody that's on the call. If I didn't call your name, it's because I don't see it up on my screen and I have to move from screen to screen because I'm sharing, and that's okay. But include your name in there. I'm calling you to the carpet. Think differently. You deserve it. So now I want to turn it over to you guys. If you have any final thoughts, this time is for you. And Mr. Porter, you can stop our live stream.